Hey.
Hi.
Ready?
Ready. Yeah, you got it.
Bob, what do you think of that Evolv90 there?
These are the quietest and smoothest skis I've ever been on.
Ever.
They don't make any noise. It's like they're not even there. They just go where you want them to go and do what you want them to do. And it's pretty impressive what they've come up with this Evolv90.
Ripping some groomers, skiing some Volkswagen-sized bumps.
Those moguls are too big for these skis. I will give it that limitation.
Do you think those moguls were too big for any skis?
Yes, I do.
So snowblades.
Yeah, you'd be better off on snowblades.
Cool. So safe to say you're enjoying them.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Sweet. I'm gonna chase you down another run and
Alright.
see how it goes.
It's probably gonna go pretty good.
Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from SkiEssentials.com. We're here back in the studio with Bob after finishing testing these Liberty Evolv90. Pretty fun test, huh Bob?
Yeah, I had a blast on these things.
Yeah, it seemed like Bob was absolutely loving them. Bob did most of the testing on these, although we did have them in our 2020 ski test, so a lot of people get on them there.
Yep.
And I was able to get on them too for a little bit. So pretty thorough testing that we've done on this Evolv90 so far. Before we dive into it, let's kind of talk about shape and construction and kind of where it sits into the Liberty line. So Bob, this ski directly behind me, we did a review of that. It's almost exactly a year ago to the day. That's the V92, which kind of marked a new type of ski for Liberty. Way more directional than anything they'd done before. And we also saw pretty cool new construction, what they call VMT, so vertical metal technology. We saw it from Rosignol too, so we've talked about
And atomic race skis, like that type of stuff.
Yep, so we're seeing it from not just Liberty. Each brand kind of has their own way of doing it, but it's all essentially the same thing. There's vertical strips of metal that sit in the core itself. So instead of horizontally laminated, they're vertical struts in the center or within the core of the ski. So that kind of introduced that construction. And the Evolv90 here kind of carries along that theme. Liberty kind of refers to it as an offspring of this ski and the Origin series, which is a pretty good way to think about it. Less carving oriented or less specifically focused on carving performance than the V series, but still pretty darn good on groomers.
Yeah.
And then a little bit more versatile, but not quite as playful as the Origin. But we'll get to that. Essentially what they've done here is they've pretty much carried that construction over, except in that ski we got 3 strips of that metal.
Yep.
In the Evolv90 there are 2, and then the V series skis get carbon stringers, and then they also get like a full sheet of carbon in the sandwich construction. This doesn't get that full sheet, but it still gets those 2 carbon strips. And then there's a mount plate, basically, 2 independent sheets of metal on each ski. So that's basically the construction. The shape is, again, kind of a derivative of both the V series and the Origin. So those skis have 10% rocker in the tip. These have 15%. You can even see a difference in the tip shape too, a little bit more taper in this ski. The V series are very blunt. No tail rocker, so much different than the Origin in the tail shape. But that's basically the gist of it. They really did kind of combine 2 existing designs and construction techniques within their line and resulted in this ski. So that's shape and that's construction. Let's just jump right into performance.
Yeah.
I always like to start with groomer performance. So Bob, what do you think of them on firm snow?
I loved them on the firm snow. From the first turn, I was shocked at how quiet they were, and I don't know if it comes through on the skiing video, me talking about it, but I was like, I felt like there was nothing on my feet. They were so quiet. There was minimal vibrations, and I think that has a lot to do with that VMT technology.
Yeah.
Is it really does a good job of kind of mitigating any type of vibrations, whether kind of short wave or long wave vibrations. And yeah, right from the tip, you can feel the thing pull you around. Tail of the ski is pretty flat and squared off at the tail, and it locks you in the turn, and you can keep pushing it around, and it keeps going. So it's just a really impressive carving situation. And at 90 millimeters underfoot, it's pretty wide for that carving ski, but it just gives you a lot more stability too. So you don't have to balance as much as you would on a narrower carving ski. So it definitely gives you that versatility and wider platform to stand on, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think the just how smooth they are is easily one of the highlighting performance factors to this ski. I mean, even like this is a really popular segment. I mean, they're positioning this ski among a sea of really popular skis, and even against some of those skis that use like 2 full sheets of metal. It's so quiet. It's so smooth. The vibration damping is pretty unbelievable. That was one of the things that really impressed me the most about it. Something that you and I talked about. It doesn't have a tremendous amount of like snap or pop or energy out of a turn, but it's really smooth, and I didn't necessarily think that was a downside.
Right. I mean, if you want that, you can get something else. A system carving ski that really will, snap you out of that turn and generate more power. This definitely has a different feel to it than that, and we use like a contingency, like this ski carves really well for a ski without metal, but this one carves really well even for skis with metal. We're talking about that segment, like a Kendo or a Brahma, and it's every bit as smooth and stable and solid, even without having those full sheets of metal, which is very impressive.
I think a couple of those skis, the Brahma always comes to mind. I think they might feel a little bit more powerful, and I think that kind of energetic pop out of a turn is where some of those skis have that a little bit more than this. But again, I didn't necessarily think that was a downside.
Right.
I kind of like this feel because it pretty much makes it up to you as a skier to make the ski do what you want it to.
Yeah.
So if you want like pop and drive out of a turn, you pretty much just have to like initiate that turn with more power, get the ski to flex a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like, it wasn't always like shooting you off into the next turn. It was very, another thing that I think you said is very intuitive. It's just kind of, It's not going to like surprise you, but pretty much does everything you want
Yeah.
it to do on groomers.
And I even had to ask other people to ski on it and see if they had the same experience as I did with it
Yeah.
being so quiet. I was just blown away at how silent it was.
Yeah. So yeah, clearly we're very impressed with it
Yeah.
on groomers. Bob, we got into some like literal Volkswagen-sized moguls, and I think you said that was kind of, that for a ski like this, that was kind of a limitation.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to try to find limitations of a ski, whether it's moguls or trees or high speeds.
Yeah.
And yeah, it seemed like enormous moguls were the limitation for that. The tail is pretty stiff and pretty squared off, so if you're pushing out of the back of the bump, that's where you're going to feel it taking you for a ride.
Yeah.
Versus on the groomers where you have a lot more control.
Those are huge.
But yeah, pushing out of the bumps and really trying to get that tail to activate quickly, I think, would be a limitation of it, especially if you have to make that next turn into an enormous mogul
Yeah.
on the back end. So
Yeah. I think that was something that I found too,
Mhm.
and in the written portion of this article or video or review, I mentioned that sometimes I have a tendency to be pretty lazy on skis.
it's okay.
I don't
Yeah,
think it's a
it's fine.
bad thing.
Yeah.
I kind of like just having like a really casual, lazy skiing style sometimes. Probably not the best ski for that. I skied it on like a 60-degree spring day,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to do that kind of lazy, just smearing and then skidding turns.
Yeah.
And it's the type of ski where it rewards good technique and good skier input. It's not necessarily like a smeary, slarvy, lazy ski.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I can get on the Origin 96 and be pretty darn lazy.
Yeah.
I don't have to be. I can be energetic and then deliberate with what I'm doing too. But on this ski, it really rewards that, like unweighting your tail properly to get the ski to swing around.
Right.
It really rewards stuff like that. But basically what I found is if that was a downside to its ungroomed snow performance, the benefit to that is just it tanks through things.
Right.
That same kind of quiet, stable performance that we talked about on groomers definitely carries over to like choppy snow conditions.
Yeah.
So I was just like mobbing down lift line on a 60-degree choppy
Yeah.
day. And the snow conditions this spring were kind of weird. We get some ice mixed in there too, and all sorts of stuff. And they just super stable. I basically straight lined down 13 pitch, and was like, okay, yeah, that was fine.
Yep.
So definitely a powerful ski. It can hold up to some pretty darn aggressive skiing. Bob, any final takeaways on it?
Just I like the concept of the bamboo in the core.
Yep.
We don't really talk about core materials a whole lot.
Yeah,
'cause
it's
you
bamboo
can't-
and poplar.
Yeah,
We might
bamboo
have
and
forgotten
poplar.
to mention that.
It's a pretty advanced, ability to be able to feel a different type of wood in the core. But they definitely, the sidewall is thicker. It's a pretty substantial sidewall. And, whether it's the actual wood or the shape of the ski that they're using, it definitely has a lot to do with that level of performance. So, just having that thickness there underfoot makes a huge difference in the way that the ski performs,
Yep.
especially on the groomers.
Yep. Yeah, I'd add that despite the differences in construction, the Origin, this new Evolv series, and there's a 100 too, there's a wider
Mhm.
Evolv, and then the V series, they all use that bamboo and poplar core. It's just then the additives, the metal, the carbon, that kind of stuff, that's where it differs. But yeah, that's the brand new Liberty Evolv90. As I mentioned, it was in our 2020 ski test as well, so keep an eye out for that footage and those results. That'll probably be released later in the summer, late July, early August. And yeah, the mountain's closed now, but fortunately we got on a ton of skis this year, so we
Yeah.
have a lot more content to share with you throughout the spring and summer. So keep checking back for more videos, more articles, and I guess we won't see you on the slopes until next season, unless you catch us somewhere like Jay or Mount Hood or something like that. But we'll see you on the bike trails.